sweet friends.
Have you ever felt like your soul is just tired, like you're running on empty and your faith feels distant?
We have been there too.
We're two friends, moms, and women walking through the beautiful mess of real life.
This right here is a space where you breathe again, where you rediscover God's peace, His purpose, and the kind of beauty that only comes from a heart revived fully in Him.
Join us every Tuesday as we invite you to slow down, exhale, and lean into a biblical, heart-centered revival.
Through authentic, raw stories of faith, conversations, and practical encouragement, you'll learn how to overcome trials, find rest for your soul, and build a daily rhythm of worship, even in the chaos.
Revival doesn't start in a church service, ladies. It starts in our heart.
Welcome to it's January.
It's
a
January.
New year.
It's 2026.
Yes, 2026. Happy New Year, everybody. So today's episode, we wanted to kind of introduce a little more intimately who we are and our stories. And I think we both definitely have incredible times in our lives where God has worked on us and brought us out from some dark places. And so we wanted to take some episodes to share our journeys.
Yeah.
And so I'm so excited for you guys to hear what God has done in her life, because it is incredible. I feel like I can't tell enough people about your story. And so I'm excited to recap that with you and share that.
Yeah. God is so good. He
Yes.
really, really is when we surrender our crud to Him.
Yep. He knows us
He does.
inside and out. There's
He
really
does.
nothing we can hide.
You can't. No, and that's I feel that's so funny to me to, like when we pray or when we talk to Him, it's like when you talk to your parents, like I'm going to tell them a little bit of the story, but I'm not going to tell them everything.
Even though
Like,
they know.
he's in everything. He's in every detail. He knows every mistake you're going to make before you even make it. And
Yes.
so you can't hide from Him.
Yep.
And I think when you get to that place of realizing, there is nothing I can hide from Him, there's so much freedom in that. It's like a weight is lifted, and it's freedom of like, I really can share every single thing with Him, and He is still going to love me, and He's going to guide me, and He's going to surround me with so much grace.
Yeah. A lot of growth happens in those moments.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It takes just speaking it, though. And I think that for a lot of us, that's the hardest thing, is just verbalizing it, just saying it out loud to Him first, but then to maybe a friend or a close confidant. That is, I think, where the enemy stops a lot of us, is just verbalizing it.
Yeah. Well, the enemy makes us feel shame. Like, I don't want anybody knowing this about me. And that, if we have that mindset, God can't be glorified through our stories and our experiences. And so it doesn't do any good to keep it bottled up. And there's healing in sharing those things and not keeping it to ourselves.
And that healing begins with you. And then it, like I said, it like spider webs out, it spreads out then into other people. And when we share our stories and when we can be vulnerable and brave, you don't know who else is listening to that story, who maybe is in that same place. And you're providing hope to them through your vulnerability. And so God just uses it like a chain. Our women are meant to be locked together. Sisters in Christ are meant to be connected, to not bring judgment and shame on one another, but to bring hope and life to one another, and to lift each other out when we're down, and to continue to point each other to Jesus when we might not be able to see it in the situation that we're in. But it's, it's that accountability piece. It's that love piece of, we hold our sisters up and we continue to point them to the one who is in control of it all.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah. Oh,
You have a verse you picked out for
I
us
do.
today.
So I have, yes, Psalm 40 is a psalm that when I first became a believer, so in 2019, this was a psalm that I read that really connected me to my story, to recovery.
Oh.
And so I just love it. And so I will read from it. I'm going to be sharing today. I struggled with alcoholism and addiction for several years, and it was a really dark place. It brought our family into a really dark place. And it took a moment of complete surrender to get beyond it. And so I am excited to share because I don't want anyone ever feeling like they're alone in it. And it's something that hits park bench to Park Avenue. I say it doesn't discriminate, alcoholism and addiction. It hits every social class, men, women, kids, adults, and it comes out of left field for a lot of us. And so, Psalm 40. I waited patiently for the Lord, and He turned to me and heard my cry for help. He brought me up from a desolate pit, out of the muddy clay, and set my feet on a rock, making my steps secure. He put a new song in my mouth, a hymn of praise to our God. Many will see and fear, and they will trust in the Lord. How happy is anyone who has put his trust in the Lord, and is not turned to the proud or to those who run after lies. Lord my God, you have done many things, your wondrous works and your plans for us. None can compare with you. If I were to report and speak of them, they are more than can be told. You do not delight in sacrifice and offering. You open my ears to listen. You do not ask for a whole burnt offering or a sin offering. Then I said, see, I have come. In the scroll it is written about me. I delight to do your will, my God, and your instruction is deep within me. I proclaim righteousness in the great assembly. See, I do not keep my mouth closed, as you know, Lord. I did not hide your righteousness in my heart. I spoke about your faithfulness and salvation. I did not conceal your constant love and truth from the great assembly. Lord, you do not withhold your compassion from me. Your constant love and truth will always guard me. For troubles without number have surrounded me. My iniquities have overtaken me. I am unable to see. They are more than the hairs of my head, and my courage leaves me. Lord, be pleased to rescue me. Hurry to help me, Lord. Let those who intend to take my life be disgraced and confounded. Let those who wish me harm be turned back and humiliated. Let those who say to me, aha, aha, be appalled because of their shame. Let all who seek you rejoice and be glad in you. Let those who love your salvation continually say, the Lord is great. I am oppressed and needy. May the Lord think of me. You are my helper and my deliverer. My God, do not delay.
Wow. That line up here, verse 10, I have not hidden your deliverance within my heart. I have spoken of your faithfulness and your salvation. I have not concealed your steadfast love and your faithfulness from the great congregation.
Mm-hmm.
Holy mackerel. That's so good. What an incredible verse.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come across this?
I was reading through the Psalms. It was 2020 or 2021, I can't remember. And I was reading through the Psalms. And it's when I read through this, I mean, it was another one of those God cry moments of, this is what you did for me. This is like I could insert myself in this psalm and just feel his great love and his protection over me.
Yeah.
One of the things that I would say that I couldn't comprehend when I was in alcoholism and addiction was I felt like I was buried. Like I felt like I was in a grave and there was somebody standing over me, like just continually pouring dirt like over, like they, like I was being buried, like alive, dead, being buried. And I was like, I would continue to claw, and the dirt kept coming, and it was like I couldn't battle my way out of it. And so when it says he brought me up from a desolate pit out of the muddy clay and set my feet on a rock, that is like, I can still picture that moment of checking in to rehab and getting sober and just feeling that freedom of not feeling like I was in this pit anymore, that there was some light, that there was some hope. Um, and so just everything in that verse, you do not delight in sacrifice and offering. You open my ears to listen. One of the first verses that I had memorized as a new believer was Psalm 119, 18 through 19. Open my eyes that I may see wondrous things in your law. I am a stranger on earth. Do not hide your commands from me. And I feel like from that moment, he has just continually opened my eyes. I think when we're willing, he continues to open our eyes and our ears to what he's speaking to us. And he speaks to each of us so individually and personally. And it's so beautiful that he does that. And so it's just like what I have like written out was, I waited patiently for him and he heard my cry. I had been struggling to find this missing piece in my life before I knew him. And he was right here pursuing me the entire time. And it was like when I finally cried out to him on the morning on my knees, he was right there. He showed himself to me, and so it's just, we are such internal people, I think, and we don't want to show emotion or we don't want to put a burden on somebody. It's hard to show it's hard to show an emotion when you don't know necessarily what you're looking for. But dang, what a work he does when we just drop down and completely surrender. He hears us. He hears our cries, and he comes to us. Like, he is our rescuer. He's our provider. If we let him, like, he will sit and he will wait patiently for us. But when we fully surrender to him, it's just amazing the beautiful work that he will do in us.
Amen. Amen. So take us back to what, 2017?
2017.
The beginning.
Yeah.
Take us back.
Yeah. So I struggled with alcoholism and addiction for several years. If I look back on my life to a teenager, I was always an unhealthy drinker. I was always looking for that confidence boost. I was always really book smart and like academic, but when it came to being outgoing, or I had sisters who were really good in sport, and I was okay. I never really shined like they did, and so alcohol was a way for me to cope and to like come out of my shell. And with that also brought consequences. And so throughout life, making poor choices, being in poor relationships, um, saying yes to things I should have been saying no to. And so it just kept spiraling in that direction. And I feel like the more well I did in school, and then became career driven and oriented as an adult, it just was always there in the background of, I would then drink to release the stress from work. I would drink for all of the wrong reasons. And so that, I feel like it just continued to build throughout my life. We had kids. We adopted my niece and nephew and brought them in 2012. And that is kind of when a shift happened. We didn't have Jesus in the house. We did not have a church family. We had a whole lot of love in our house, but I feel like love without that sustainability and that foundation of Christ and who we are can only take you so far. It really, truly can. And so my husband's job shifted around that time in 2012. We were trying to blend a family. Our oldest son went from being the oldest to the middle. We went from 3 kids to 5. We had to move from a small house into a bigger house. And you your family wants to help, right? But it's so hard to know how to help. And so when I speak of I love my family dearly, and we're all doing the best that we can, but 5 kids is a lot. And so when it would come to needing a date night or needing help getting kids to, because when you have 5 kids in activities, it's like you're going in multiple directions, and they're age 3 to 12 at the time. And it's, it's really hard to coordinate that when you don't have a community that understands that. We didn't have foster families that we were friends with, or uh, you know other families who had adopted or blended families. We just didn't do it well. We didn't know. You don't know what you don't know until you know. And so I felt like we went into this really flourishing life into drowning. And so I dealt with that with drinking. So I continued to drink and numb and tune out. And I had a provider who was prescribing me prescription medications that I should not have been taking at an excessive amount every month for years. And so that combination of narcotics and alcohol, it took me down a really dark path. And we got into a huge financial darkness, a financial situation that, again, I continued to ignore and drink and all the things. I was unfaithful with my husband. I was not being a mom. I was not taking care of our kids. Um, I was I was a mess. I was a complete mess, and this went on for a while, and it ended with drinking from blackout to blackout. So my kids were finding bottles stashed in different places. They were finding me passed out in different places of the house. Um, and I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong. I knew that something needed to change. And so I was going to the doctor. I started seeing a psychiatrist. I started seeing a therapist. And so we were blending a family. And so we had therapy was happening. We were doing family therapy. So we were getting different tools and things. But I knew that the way I was acting was not healthy. And the doctors that I was seeing, nobody brought up Jesus. Nobody brought up faith. Nobody brought up Christ. It was situational. They're like, well, you've been through a lot this last year. How could anybody blame you for being in this position? Which, looking back on it, is such horrible advice. Like, it's such a horrible way to treat a patient. I had a problem, and I kept saying, I have a problem. Like, there's something wrong. And so I continued therapy. I tried intensive outpatient programs, IOPs, which are like 6-week long programs. You go almost every day. I've been in and out of detox. I was just like, we were in the thick of it. My family was falling apart. My husband was he's trying to take care of these 5 babies while I'm over here just making a mess of everything. 2017, Tom had finally had enough, and he had taken me to detox a couple of times and brought me home. I had been fired from a tenured position for drinking at work, and I was fighting with our oldest son, and driving, like it was an unhealthy situation. And he finally, we were standing outside in front of the house, and I was drunk, and he was like, you you have to do something. I don't know what it is, but you have to go do something. You have to figure this out, and you can't come home until you do. And some would think that that would be the moment of complete surrender. But it was the seed. So he took me to the hospital for the last time. He took me to the emergency room and went to detox. They sent me to a detox facility, and my good friend picked me up the next day, who happened to be our neighbor at the time. And I went and stayed at her house. And that day, we went to the grocery store to pick up dinner for that evening. And I was able to sneak into the liquor store at the grocery store and buy a handle of whiskey and put it in my purse and meet her back in the store. And so then I drank that whiskey and argued with kids over the fence, and blacked out. And the next morning was July 15th, and I woke up that morning just completely free of this fog that I had been in, and grabbed my wallet and found my insurance card and called to see where I could go to inpatient rehab. And I was able to go to get into Harmony up in Estes Park the next day. And so that was the 15th, around the 15th. So I went back and I spoke to my husband, and he brought me up there. And that's really the beginning of this faith journey for me. I had no idea God. I had no idea who he was. I knew I was missing something, but I had no idea how much he loved me so much to continue to walk with me through all the mess and through all the poor choices and through like things that I would have judged moms for before I walked through it myself. And to love me enough to sit with me while I found him, while I seeked him out, and while I found him. And I know that he is who was working in me this whole time. He is who just gave me these glimmers of hope and love and light, and that I don't have to be defined by these choices that I made, that I can move beyond this person that had stolen me for a while, the enemy that just encompassed me for so many years. And rehab was the beginning of that foundation. Just being in nature, being away from everything, because that's one of the biggest excuses, I think, especially for women who are struggling with alcohol or drugs or addiction, is that we don't have time to go take care of ourselves. We have a family at home. We're either financially supporting or the everyday life of a mom. But when you look at the reality of your situation, are you really showing up as a mom? Are you really the best thing for your family right now? Or is removing yourself for a minute to get yourself to that place so that you can return and give your family a lifetime of being a good mom? And so that was something that I had struggled with, and that was one of my excuses, was I can't go to inpatient rehab. I can't leave. In reality, it was the best thing that ever happened outside of knowing and having God in our lives. That going away and taking care of myself, like I said, being out in nature, having 3 meals a day, talking about what my problems are with other women who are also career women, who are also moms, who are also, in the same kind of place. And that is where that hope started to build in me, where I'm not alone, because I think that that's one of the biggest things the enemy makes us feel, is that we're the only one. How could any other mom be this cruddy?
Mm-hmm.
How could anybody else be in this position? But you're not alone in what you're going through. And to be able to open up and share your story and admit that you have a problem out loud with somebody else is freedom. It's complete freedom. And in that moment, that was the first time when I, sat in a group 2 days into rehab and said, my name is Catherine and I'm an alcoholic and my life has become unmanageable. That was the first time God had lifted this weight off of me of, yeah, you are a mess right now, but you don't have to carry it by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other people who are around you who are also a mess, because every single person on this planet is a mess in some way, shape, or form. You don't have to walk it alone. And you can give hope to one another and you can speak truth into one another. And so rehab was amazing. Like, Tom thought I was on vacation the first week. He was like not happy. He was like, she's
Must
on
be nice.
must be nice. Prime rib on Saturdays. But once he came to visit me, I can't remember if it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday, whatever day it was, family days on Sunday. And when they came that Sunday, my family could see, after just being there 4 or 5 days, my family could see that something had changed. I mean, you don't buy in all at once. You have to, as the person who's struggling and who has caused all this mayhem, you have to realize that it takes time to get trust back from the people you love. It's not an instant thing. And you have to be okay with that. And so I know that they were always like, they were a little hesitant, but they could see physically that something had shifted.
Wow.
And so that is, it's just like, that's God. That's God working in me. I had no idea at the time, but when I look back, I just see all of these moments of him working in and through my story. And it's beautiful because he also allowed my family to see all of those moments as well. A family of unbelievers, a group of people who had no idea who Jesus was, they got to start to see that through the darkest time in our life, in our family. And I think it's beautiful when you can know and understand that our stories were never meant to break us. They were meant to grow us. We can allow them to break us. I mean, we can continue down and for however long it takes. That's another thing, is it's some people it's longer than others.
Mm-hmm.
But when we get to the place of knowing him and seeing him and surrender to him and surrendering everything we've done, I'm not going to carry that shame with me anymore. I have no shame. I have no, I'm carrying none of that with me today, except for, look what God has done. Look what he's done.
Well, and you don't have that shame because you're covered in Christ's blood.
Yeah.
Like, he has completely wiped you clean of
Mhm.
that because
Mhm.
he died for us on the cross. That you can release that. And what a beautiful gift that is, that you don't have to carry that.
Yeah.
And that through your story, look how much God is being glorified. The enemy thought he had you.
Mhm.
He didn't know who he was fighting against, clearly, because he didn't win.
Yeah.
And he continues to lose every
Yeah.
day because
Amen.
you are able to bring so much light to what you've gone through.
Mhm.
It's really beautiful.
Amen.
As hard as that time is, or was when you were walking through that, to be on the other side and to be able to give people hope who are struggling.
Yeah.
With other, could be the same thing, could be something else.
Mhm.
We all have our are things in life
Yeah.
that we're walking through. And so I love to see how those God winks all throughout your journey of just God was putting those puzzle pieces together and this would happen, but he used it later on here. And that's just really amazing. And it can only point to Jesus.
Only. You see that light and that hope, and you know, because of our will, and because we can either go towards it or we can push it down, you know. And I feel like the more we go towards it, the bigger it gets, like the bigger that light gets, and the bigger he gets in your life, and the more encompassing he is. And in sharing that with other people and planting the seeds and loving other people so well that you are not judging them for their actions, but you're loving them well enough that you're showing them who Jesus is, and you're planting seeds. And so even if people don't respond to the light and the love within you, they will look back one day. The hope is that they will be able to look back one day and see, she planted this seed in my life here.
Yeah.
And then this one was planted here. And that's kind of what it felt like through this journey when I stayed at Harmony for, I think my insurance kicked me out at like 23 or 24 days. And because I was doing so well.
You were thriving.
Insurance dictates. I was meeting with a counselor who was connecting me to community, like to community resources. And she asked me about my spirituality. And like I mentioned in the beginning, I felt something missing. I had always, like, I continued to say to doctors, something's missing. I don't know what it is. I don't know. And she asked me about my spirituality. I had shared with Kimber earlier. I read a book on Hinduism and Buddhism, thinking that, because I love to be outside. I had no idea. I read these books and I was like, there's no real connection here. And so I read another one and no connection. And so when she was connecting me to community resources, she asked me about my spirituality. And I said, I'm still searching. I don't know what it is yet. I haven't figured it out. I was able to admit that there was definitely a higher power, because nothing could have, I was a mess. There had to be something that was there intervening on my behalf. I just didn't know what that was. And so she pulled off her personal copy of Jesus Calling, which is a daily devotional, and gave it to me. And she said, like, you're going to do great things. It's going to be hard at times. Here's this book. Here's my copy of Jesus Calling. You know, I wish you well. Gave me a hug. And I brought that daily devotional home and I put it in my closet and didn't touch it. You know, like, it was out of sight, out of mind. And I continued to rock recovery for 2 years, digging into all the personal development, all the worldly personal development, things, running, exercising, taking care of myself, doing all these things, showing up for my family. And then we had a major storm, like a major, major moment hit our family in November of 2019. And it had to do with our oldest son. And he shares his story as well. I won't share his story, but he knows that his story is a part of my story. Like, his story is what brought me to my knees. And so again, God is using our whole family to show every single one of us who he is. And so Cohen was arrested. The sheriffs were at our house on November 15th of 2019. And he was arrested and went to jail for a good amount of time. And that next morning, November 16th, I was on my living room floor, remembering all of these tools I had learned in rehab. Like, I don't want to drink right now. I'm not feeling like tempted to drink, but I know that relapse happens way before I actually pick up the drink. And it happens when we're not dealing with life. It happens in the choices that we're making. It happens in saying yes or no to the right or the wrong things. It's a daily commitment. And I was just on my knees of like the weight of the world was on my shoulders. My baby, who wasn't a baby, but my baby was in his own darkness. I couldn't save him from it. And I didn't know who could. But I knew that I couldn't. I knew that whatever this was too heavy for me to carry. And so I was on my knees like, I can't carry this. I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. It's not supposed to be me. And I remember that devotional. And I went upstairs and I found that book in my closet and I went back downstairs and I opened it up to November 16th. And every single word on that page was everything I was going through. And I tell you what, ladies, Jesus was in the room. He wrapped me up. He gave me peace and patience that I cannot even describe, that I still carry with me today, to a point where it's annoying to my family sometimes because I am just, he's in control. He is our savior. He is the one that saves, not me. And so that moment of, again, one of the darkest things in our lives has turned into this beautiful, all encompassing moment that only God could give. And I had, like, they weren't even ugly tears because they were beautiful tears falling. And from that moment on, I was like, this is what I've been missing. Jesus, like, this is the missing piece. This is what I've been missing in my heart and in my life, my whole life. And so it was like a moment of just pure love, pure love.
Amazing. I love that you can remember the exact date that
Oh.
you were like, my life is yours, Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't remember the
Mm-hmm.
exact date. And
Yeah.
so I've always loved that about people who are like, yep, I was right here. It was this date. You know, that's really amazing
Yeah.
that he just has brought you and your family. I mean, I've gotten to know you guys throughout, just hearing bits and pieces here and there, and it's
Yeah.
just really beautiful of just how much your family has supported you even through all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom just
Yeah.
being your rock through
Mm-hmm.
it, and
Mm-hmm.
just, yep, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, that takes a lot. And
It does.
just all the strength through. I mean, yeah, I feel like this is kind of just scratching the surface of just, you know, everything that has gone on in your life since 2017, and here we are, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Only Jesus.
Only Jesus.
Only Jesus.
Yeah, it is. And he, you know, it's like he comes in those moments when we're bold and we're brave to surrender. When we're like, I have to release control. Like, I'm not doing a good job.
Yeah.
None of us do a good job when we hold on so tightly, or when we try and fix it ourselves, or when we try and, you know, move the pieces around so that it looks good. Like, it doesn't look good until the work inside is good. You know, like, we can make things on the surface look good. People could come to my house and have no idea I had a problem. But to know that it was a complete storm for so long, um, like, you can only fake it for so long. You know, we need him. We need his, and he wants it. He wants us so desperately to be surrendered to him. And it is so beautiful that he meets each of us individually and personally exactly where we are. You know, he works in each of our stories personally. He is so much grace. He's so gracious to be patient and loving while he waits for us to give him our hearts. And, like, ladies, I can't tell you. It's a feeling. Like, you can't explain it. when you can completely surrender and give him everything, every piece of you, and allow him to come in and do the work, and you will be amazed at the miracles, again, that not only you see, but we went from a lost family to a family of faith. I went from not knowing who Jesus was to now my kids know who Jesus is. My sister knows who Jesus is. Her girls now know who Jesus is. My mom, who grew up Catholic her entire life, now is understanding who Jesus is.
All because in one moment you were
Right.
brave and
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
I gotta do this.
Yeah.
Like, look at the
Yeah.
ripple effect
Yes.
and how God has used that for
Yeah.
the better. I think
Mhm.
there's so many of us going through things that we try to keep quiet about, and you just never know how God is going to use that. And it does take that moment of just being brave, having the strength to bring it to the light. The Bible talks about
Yeah.
bring your sin to the light,
Yeah.
because there is freedom in
Yeah.
that. And just like I said, the ripple effect that that has, you just
Yeah.
never know what
Yeah.
that could look like.
Yeah. It's beautiful. And it's also that clear sign too of, we do live in a world where it's good versus evil. Satan is slithering around trying to make a mess of all of it. And so I like to challenge people, that thing that you keep fighting against. For me, initially, and that it was rehab. I had every excuse in the book not to go. And yet it was the beginning of what saved me. So if there is something in your life that you're like, you have so much control on and you're trying to control it so much, pray about that, surrender that. Because I think that that's a big way, again, that Satan holds us back, is thinking that we are up here in control when we are really down here and God is in control. So we need to bring ourselves down, surrender whatever it is you're going through, what your struggle is, give it to Him and ask Him, what do I need to do? If it's going away for 20 days, 30 days, think of the lifetime, think of the amount of days you're actually getting back from surrendering 20 days of your life.
Amen. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
If there's one piece of advice or, one moment, something that you could say to someone who's going through, like, picture you, how
Mm-hmm.
many, 7 years ago now,
Mm-hmm.
what would you tell her?
I would tell her you're not alone, and forgive yourself. You're really, truly not alone. Talk to somebody, find somebody else who's going through it, reach out to a friend, share it. As hard as it is, send a text message, go to a meeting, but you're not alone. You are not alone. There is a whole lot of messy people out there who really will hide it really, really well. You're not alone. It hits park bench to Park Avenue. Like I said, we like to think that problems are in homeless people or people who are, I don't even know. That's the world of the judgment
Yeah,
piece.
like, well, you're in jail, so you must have really done something
Right.
bad, or
Right.
you're on the streets, so
Yeah.
at least, no, it
No,
looks
it
different.
is moms, it's career women, it's smart people, it's academics, it does not discriminate. The enemy gets a hold of each of us, and I just is share it with somebody. Share it with God first. If you're a believer, drop to your knees and admit that you have a problem and that you need help, and see where He guides you in that. If you're not a believer yet, if you don't know, share it with somebody. Tell a friend, anybody, someone. Just say it out loud to somebody.
Yeah.
And forgive yourself. There's no room to carry any of the bad decisions, any of the choices. I mean, we could go eye to eye and, well, I did this, well, I did this, well, I did it. He, like Kimber said, he covers it all. He covers it all. Turn to him. He covers it all.
He
You do
does.
not have to carry it.
Well, and we are all broken people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you hear that phrase like, why does good things always happen to good people? Actually, newsflash, there is no good people.
Yeah.
Because we're all sinners. We all fall short.
Yeah.
And we are broken.
Yeah. Every single one of us. Jesus. I'm like, you're Jesus? You're not Jesus. He is the only perfect being that ever walked, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's, you know, and that's what brings me hope, is that we can just share our stories, that we can be okay with sharing our stories. And so find those people, pray to God for those people. He will bring those people into your life, and it doesn't have to be a ton of people, like your friend, your confidence, your sisters, your friend base, the people that you share your most intimate details with should be people who will listen to you, who will not judge you, and who will not tell you that you don't have a problem. If you think you have a problem, you have a problem. Some people are going to want you to continue to be that fun, outgoing, loving party girl that they always knew. You're going to lose friends.
Yeah.
You're going to lose relationships. We lost our whole friend group during this time because it was all people that we went to the bars with, or that we went on vacations with, or that we, you know, and all alcohol was always around that. And so be okay with a new season. Be okay with finding your people in this season, in a healthy season for you, because your friends shouldn't judge you or shame you. Or if you tell somebody, I need to stop, they should support that. There should no questions asked. They should support it.
Yeah, that is so true. And we had kind of talked about too, like we live in a culture right now that almost glamorizes the wine and the, you know, moms at the end of the day, like, "Oh, I need my glass of wine." We are, I feel like our society, we make jokes about that and videos about that or whatever, but underneath those jokes, there really could be someone who genuinely actually is struggling and it is a problem. And, you know, there are ways as friends, if you see that, pray over it first and foremost. You know, God, give me the right words to even say to this person who I love. What is love? You know, love is actually being brave enough to tell somebody the truth, whether you like it or not. Like
Right.
that truly is love. And so if you love somebody enough to recognize something is going on, trust that God will give you the right approach, the right words, and he's got the rest. Like you don't, like you said several times, you don't have to carry this like, I hope I do this right. No, like God will handle it, and trust that he will, and in his own timing. Like look at your timeline with your story. It was what, 2 years after you checked into rehab that you actually turned your life over to God. 2
And
years.
it was probably 5 years of like deep struggle
Yeah.
before that.
It wasn't just sunshine and rainbows after
Oh,
going
no.
through rehab. Like there's still
No.
probably a lot that you have to work through even to today. I don't, you know, where it's just it's a constant of just centering back to Jesus through all of that. Like you said, having friends that were around it. Like if your friends aren't gonna hang out with you and love you after that, then they probably weren't good friends to begin with.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's good, and it's okay. Like, and that's another thing. It's okay for your season to change. It's like we all grow, and we grow at different rates, and we grow in different directions. And sometimes friends aren't ready to make that move, and that's okay. I have friends that drink that when we get together or we go run retreat together, there's no, you know, you also have friends who are going to respect who you are and and what your choices are, and they don't have to drink when they're around you. It doesn't have to be like that, but we do live in a society and a culture that it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's in everything. And so questioning also, why are you drinking? Are you drinking because it was a stressful day at work? Are you drinking because the kids are going crazy and you're stressed out? Are you having a drink because your marriage is on the rocks, or your husband said something, mean or rude or whatever? Like, why? What is the why behind it? Because I have plenty of friends who go out on date night once a week and have a glass of wine at dinner, like at a great, nice, beautiful dinner. That's different than I'm having a glass of wine to unwind. Like, that's God, Jesus. Like, you pray when we are desperate, when we're stressed, when we're overwhelmed, we go to him. He is the one that lifts that. Drinking is only going to add fuel to the fire if that's your why. And so question what your why is, because all of these memes and these reels and these that are like, oh, I'm gonna have a who else is having a glass of wine to unwind from the day or from the stress? No. No.
Yeah.
No. It's not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, and from your story, not only has transformation happened with yourself, with your family, there's also been something really beautiful that was born out of this that you now are pursuing. Do you want to tell us a little more about that?
Salty and Lit, yes. Salty and Lit Foundation is a nonprofit to help women in addiction and recovery. And so we are a 501c3 organization. We established in 2023. God placed it on my heart. I had been praying over how to help women in recovery, because I really think that's another important aspect and an important step and an important part of how we live in the kingdom is when God has brought you through something and it is so apparent, you share that with others. You help others who are struggling. We don't just walk along and by ourselves and carry the story with ourselves. We help the next person along. I mean, I think that that's what God intends is, girl, I did this great work in you. Now go do it in go help somebody else see me so that I can do it in them too. Nobody should walk alone. And that's where I say, you're not alone. We shouldn't be walking alone, and we shouldn't be leaving people alone either. And so for me, this really was a huge moment in our lives and in our family and in myself. And so I really feel just a huge pull and call to help other women who are struggling, who are in that place of desperation and don't know, who are lost, and don't feel like they have any answers or any way out. And I was blessed to be able to go to rehab. I'm thankful that I had 90 days to just not go back to work. Not everybody has that option. Not everybody has that available to them, but I see that as so much time to fully heal and recover and recenter with my family. Like, we were able to heal as a family when I came home from rehab. I didn't have to go straight back to work. I was able to come home. I was able to put healthy things in place, whether it's eating better, exercising, taking care of myself, loving on my family well, just really reintegrating with that. And I know that that's not available for everyone. And so the goal of Salty and Lit is to help women who are in that place and who need help connecting to the resources that are going to help them maintain that long-term sobriety. And that's sometimes hard to think about, because when you're newly sober, it's one day at a time. It's still one day at a time. It's really hard to even think about a week or a month, but to be surrounded by women who can help guide you in that direction of, okay, so let's start moving our bodies a little bit more so that when you do hit that 90 days, like you're moving your body, you're making progress, and you're making ways to be able to have this lifelong commitment to your health and your sobriety. And so that is kind of where Salty and Lit was born. And then I left my corporate job in August of 2024 and went all in. And so we have helped get women to rehab. We've paid for we just did taxes. We paid for 40 days of rehab, which I think came out to about $22,000.
Wow.
Total. We've paid for therapy sessions. We've paid for family therapy sessions. We helped families pay for food and utilities and rent or mortgage while she was in rehab, because those are other things I think that keep people from going. Is there's still your bills are still going to come. Like your bills are still coming through all of this, through your mess. And so how can we lighten the weight of that so that she can go into rehab and not have to think about finances or not have to think about how the bills are going to get paid, so that she can go in and fully focus on herself while we take care of her family while she's there. So we've been able to do that. And
Amazing.
and then just we had like a bridging the gap program where we're connected with different rehabs and the prison. So we help like integrate women who are not going into sober living, help connect them to resources in the community that are going to be beneficial, and meetings that are going to work for them. Because finding a meeting is like finding a church. There's hundreds in your area, there's thousands in the world. You have to find your people. And so if you go to a meeting and you're like, that doesn't sit right, try it again to see. Maybe it was a group of people, maybe it was the topic. And if you really truly don't find your home there, go to another one. There's another one. There's meetings that are just for women. There's Celebrate Recovery. There's AA. There's NA. There's a whole different, there's a slew of different kinds of meetings. You keep going. And so we are available to go and attend these meetings with women so that they don't have to go by themselves.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That can sometimes be the hardest part.
Yeah, that
You just don't wanna go
it's that
alone.
first step, right?
Yeah.
How often is the first step in anything what holds us back?
Amen.
Yeah. And so to be able to connect and not do that alone is huge, and it provides hope. And so 2025 was amazing, and being able to help women in bigger ways than I had even dreamed. And we're now looking at opening up a sober living home
That
in
is
2020,
incredible.
like in 2026. That's this year.
That's this year.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like sitting here listening to everything that you've said you've done, and I'm like, that's only within a year
Yeah.
of opening this up.
Yeah.
Like that, if that doesn't say God is in it, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
That is incredible
Yeah.
that you guys were able to provide that much for
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
women who
It's cool.
I mean you are able to step in and be that difference for someone.
Mm-hmm.
And how cool, and to be able to just be like, I know what you're going through.
Yeah.
Like I was there.
Mm-hmm.
There is hope.
Yeah.
And to be that is really incredible.
Yeah.
Such a blessing.
Yeah.
So we'll put information in the description,
Yeah.
captions,
Yeah.
all that stuff for
Yeah.
if you know somebody or you yourself, you need someone to reach out to.
Yeah.
We'll have
Mm-hmm.
that information.
Yeah. It's amazing what God's girls can do when they come together. He's really opened my eyes to resources being his resources, to time being his time. When we get these big dreams on our hearts, or when he's placing these things in us, we have that crisis of belief of, I don't have the money to do that. I don't have a house that I can house women in. Like, I've never done this before. I don't have the knowledge. All of the things where, again, Satan will just like allow you to stew on that and hold you back from taking that first step, instead of thinking, No, these are God's resources. And if I am walking with God and if I am truly doing what God is calling me to, He's going to provide. And He did. And He showed up in just these beautiful, miraculous ways through funding coming in, through donations coming in from people that I had no idea
Wow.
could provide like they've provided. And so it's that discipline, it's the obedience of if he's telling you to do something and you know it, just just take a step. Just take a step in that direction and he's going to start opening up those doors. And so he's really just shown me and given me this vision of how kingdom work truly works.
Yeah.
You know, through some people have the finances to donate, some people have the time. There's a property out there that's waiting that is ready for this, and he is bringing it all together in just beautiful ways. And in the meantime, we can still help women get healthy and sober and point them to who he is while we're over here making this happen.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
And you can cut this part out if you want, but I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it anyways. You told me early on when we started the podcast that you really felt like God was telling you not to take a single penny from what you do.
Yeah.
And so you do this completely just as a servant to the Lord.
Yeah.
Which is really amazing because you work a lot on this.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
I think we were filming last month stuff and you're like, I got to step outside because you were applying for a grant.
Yeah.
And I was like, she was like out on our porch filming something, it's just like, but I can tell that your heart is in it and that you're passionate about it and you're excited about it. And God has clearly put it on your heart for a reason. And the fruits that are coming from that is inevitable.
Yeah. It is. It's beautiful. And it's just a beautiful thing. We've talked about this, just legacy, things that we can pass down to our kids. And being a career woman for my whole life and having career women in my family, I didn't know that it was possible to like take these leaps of faith and just do something without knowing, like without having an education behind it. I'm like, I can't do this without education. And it's so silly because it's like that's like our thinking is so wrong. It's like I don't need any more education.
You learn.
I don't need a degree in that. I have a degree in something, but I don't. It's been an amazing ride. And when Kimber said that about not taking a penny, that held me back for a year.
Wow.
It literally, I have my journal from an entire year almost in 2023 of how am I going to make money?
Yeah.
How am I going to replace my salary? Like that was like, okay, here's my salary. How am I going to replace it? And I journaled and I wrote and I prayed and I pleaded and nothing would ever, like, he was like silent. And I was like, oh, I could do this over here. I could do, how much, a percentage. I went through all of the things. I was like, I need my salary. And finally, God was like, this is not where you're going to get paid from. I will take care of you. I will provide for you. And it's not going to be from this. And I was like, okay. Okay.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah, which in 2026 now, that's a hard thing to surrender because it's stinking hard to live on a one income
it is.
Salary.
Yeah, and it is. And, we've had to rebudget. We've had to refinance. I've had beautiful friends who have stepped in and helped provide and have helped bridge the gap for our family, which is like amazing. And again, that's where God is working. He knows the people who have resources who can help sustain where you're at. My friends have so much faith in what I'm doing that they will do whatever they can to help provide to make sure that we are okay. And it's just, again, like it's opened my heart to this love of community and relationships and friendships that I've never experienced before. And it took the vulnerability of being like, y'all, yo, we are, I don't know how we're going to pay our bills this month. I don't know how we're going to pay our utilities this month. And a friend comes in and is like, we got you.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
incredible.
Oh.
But gosh,
Oh.
thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes.
And
Thanks
just,
for listening.
yeah.
Thanks for being a part of it. And just thanks for being a huge prayer warrior for me in today. Like, I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful for you. And again, like, this is a new friendship. This is a friendship that came like 4 months, or we've like 4 months in the making now. But God brings the right women into our lives at the right time. I believe when we're open and available to it. And I just, again, want to encourage you that don't hide. Reach out, find me on social media, and let me know what your story is. If you need somebody to talk to, reach out, and I'm available to talk and help guide you and point you to resources. But you don't have to do anything alone. Don't do it alone. First and foremost, God is always with you. He's in the room with you right now. You might feel distant from him because you haven't been talking to him, but he's right there. I promise you. Just start.
He's
just
waiting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I always just like picture this like beautiful presence of Jesus right next to me. And sometimes he has his shepherd's hook out and he's like, okay, let's get back on track. But like always right here. He's always right here. And when I don't hear from him or when I feel distant, it's because I'm not talking to him. It's because I'm not reaching out. He's not going to push himself onto you. He's going to patiently wait. And it's beautiful. And so I encourage you to just start talking to him today. Start talking to him right now. And he'll be there. He'll guide you. And so we love you. Don't carry any of that shame with you. It's not yours to carry. And yeah, find a way to be healthy in 2026. Yeah.
Amen.
Join our free Facebook community and follow along on all social media platforms to connect with other women seeking heart revival, spiritual renewal, and authentic faith.
And be sure to click the follow button on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss an episode.
We can't wait to see you on the inside. Bye!